Although the Lord of the Rings movie trilogy was a masterpiece, Peter Jackson created some poor changes from book to movie, and I'm going to give you my top 5 worst changes that have taken place. And before you go thinking I'm going to talk about Tom Bombadil or even Prince Imrahil, you're wrong. I'm going to cover only changes that happened to characters or scenes, not things that were left out. This will be covered in a future video. But don't forget to write your worst changes in the comment section. I'd love to read them. At number 5, I'm going to start off with a great moment during the Battle of the Pelennor Fields. Gandalf versus the Witch King. In the books, the Witch King rode through the gates of Minas Tirith after it was destroyed by Grant. When the Witch King rode in, everyone fled immediately, for they were afraid of the terror coming from the Witch King. Only Gandalf, sitting on Shadowfax, could withstand him. Gandalf said to him,
"You cannot enter here. Go back to the abyss prepared for you. Go back, fall into the nothingness that awaits you and your master. Go."
With this, the Witch King laughed at him and said,
"Old fool, this is my hour. Do you not know death when you see it? Die now and curse in vain."
When in the movies the Witch King flew in on Gandalf and broke his staff. I know Peter Jackson did this to make his defeat by Eowyn more rewarding since he was powerful enough to break Gandalf's staff, but it would have been so amazing to see this conversation at the gates of Minas Tirith. And not only that, but seeing the Witch King riding in on his horse through the gates, where no evil being has ever gone past before. This would be so great to see on the big screen. At number 4, we have the youngest son of the steward, Faramir. I know he is portrayed very well by David Wenman, but I'm just talking about the scene between him and Frodo. It is such a big difference between the movie and the books. In the books he asks Frodo a lot of questions about Boromir, the quest and so on. He is mostly curious about the truth behind the riddle that has tormented him for the past couple of months. The riddle goes as followed.
"Seek for the sword that was broken. In Imladris it dwells. There shall be counsels taken, stronger than Morgul's spells. There shall be shown a token that doom is near at hand. For Isildur's bane shall waken, and the halfling forth shall stand."
Frodo explains everything to him, except for Isildur's bane, because he is afraid that Faramir would try to take the ring from him, just like Boromir tried at Amon Hen. But Faramir tells Frodo not to fear him. He says,
"I will not take this thing. If it lay by the highway, not where Minas Tirith falling in ruin, and I alone could save her. So using the weapon of the Dark Lord for her good and my glory? No, I do not wish such triumphs, Frodo, son of Drogo."
Unlike in the movies where Faramir wanted to take the ring and its bearer to Minas Tirith as a gift to his father.
"Take them to my father. Tell him Faramir sends a mighty gift."
But he eventually let Frodo go. I know Peter Jackson created this, so there would be such a difference between Faramir and Boromir, where Faramir could eventually let go of Frodo, something that Boromir could not. But I much prefer Faramir from the books, where he has already shown his quality by not being seduced by the One Ring. He was greater than it. Third on the list are the dead men of Dunharrow, the restless ghosts, the oath breakers. I have always felt that it was more Hollywood, if you know what I mean. They seem to be the key to win the Battle of the Pelennor Fields, where they just defeat the enemies, destroying the Mumakils, and in the extended scene with the Waterfall of the Skulls trying to crush them, it looked completely out of place. It was personally a little bit of a sad part of the movie. Where in the books, they are portrayed more feared, more dreadful. Even Gimli feared them when they walked into the caves. He admired Aragorn for it. He said to Legolas,
"Does he not feel fear? In any other cave, Gimli Gloin's son would have been the first to run to the gleam of gold. But not here. Let it lie."
When they reached the door of the dead, they saw the skeleton of a nobleman of Rohan. His legs were crushed. They left them there to die. The dead did this to him. They were so terrifyingly portrayed in the books, so feared, so scary, which I don't really see in the movies. In the books, Aragorn commanded them to fulfill their oath and help to defeat the black ships coming from the south to the haven of Pelargir. And that is what they did. The pirates from the black ships were so scared of the ghost that they just fled the ships and swam to the land as quickly as possible. After this was completed, Aragorn let him go. They never joined the Battle of the Pelennor Fields, they only attacked the black ships coming from the south. And number 2, we have the death of Saruman. In the movies we see him standing at the top of Orthanc together with Grima, after Isengard has been overrun by Ents. Gandalf tries to talk to Saruman, but eventually Grima stabs him in the back and he falls from the tower right onto a spike of a water wheel, which is just like I mentioned with the Deathman of Dunharrow, a little bit of a Hollywood to me. While in the books, Saruman and Grima stay trapped in the Tower of Orthanc after Gandalf and Theoden talk to him. He does indeed get killed by Grima, but that is only near the end of the story during the scouring of the Shire. Saruman was then also stabbed in the back, but when he died, his spirit rose. Normally when a Maya or an elf dies, their spirit goes to the halls of Mandos. But when Saruman's spirit rose, there came a strong wind from the west and blew his spirit away. It just meant that the Valar didn't want him anymore because of all the cruel things that he did and the abandonment of the original quest of the Istari. I understand why Peter Jackson didn't add the scouring of the Shire to the movies. It would make them even longer and in his eyes weren't really necessary for the main part of the story, which is the destruction of Sauron and the One Ring. I think he really wanted to add the death of Saruman, and that is why the backstabbing part is the same from the books and the movie. But I would rather have Saruman staying trapped in the Tower of Orthanc for the rest of the movie, not really knowing what would happen to him, than him falling on one of the spikes of a water wheel. Just before I'm going to reveal my number 1, I just want to let you know, if you really enjoy this content, I highly suggest you smash that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any new videos. And finally, at number 1, the worst change that Peter Jackson made is, and some of you might have guessed it, the Mouth of Sauron. Not only his appearance, which is greatly changed from Lieutenant of the Tower of Barad-dûr to a slave of Sauron, but also his conversation between him and Gandalf is completely different as well. In the movies, Gandalf demands that Sauron leaves the realm of Mordor, never to return. But in the books, it is the Mouth of Sauron who gives the demands. He says that all of the east of the Anduin shall be Sauron's territory, and west of the Anduin shall be tributary to Mordor, and the men there shall bear no weapons, all in exchange for Frodo. Otherwise, he would be tormented as slow as possible, so that he would live long enough and in great pain. He would be tortured until he is dead or completely broken. But I'm not going to ramble on about this topic anymore. I have an entire video that covers why this is the worst change that Peter Jackson created to the entire trilogy. So I will see you all in the next video.